Safety first. So it's the third weekend of our van conversion, and tonight we're building some structures that go inside the walls where we can attach the wall panels to, and the bed frame and all that kind of stuff, and the cupboards, so that we have some wooden structure in the walls that we can screw things into without damaging the struts that make the van stable, essentially. Hi, so I'm just drilling the holes into the metalwork of the van to mount the wooden structures that we're then going to use to screw everything else into, so that we don't have to drill too many holes in the metal. Because I don't want to drill through the outer skin of the van, obviously. I've cut this little piece of plastic tubing that goes on the front of the drill bit, and then the drill bit is only like 1/2 centimetre long, which is just enough to drill through the part of the metal that I want to drill through. Cool, fits my screws perfectly. So I'm just painting the structural wood stuff that we're going to put in with some undercoat, just so that if there's some condensation it doesn't sort of rot away behind the... Okay, so I'm just screwing in the wooden structures we're putting in the walls, and once that's done we can finish the job with the insulation.
So I'm currently cutting the foam insulation pieces that we're putting in the bottoms of the van here. I'm nearly finished, that's good.
So one of the things I found the most difficult to get any decent information on was insulation. And there's loads of information out there on what people have done, and nobody's really explaining whether it's actually working or whether, you know, it makes sense in terms of the science behind insulation and how you would do that kind of stuff. And then there's some conflicting information. So for example, what we've done now with the floor is to put this foam insulation layer in first, and then I'm going to put this vapor barrier on top. But there's conflicting information. So the floor supplier says the vapor barrier goes below the floor, and the supplier of the vapor barrier says the vapor barrier always goes on the warm side of the insulation. And we'll be driving in places where it's colder outside and we'll put the heating on, and we'll be in places where it's hot outside and we want the inside to be cooler. But I'm thinking that in winter, when we've got the heating on and it's really cold outside, the temperature gradient will be bigger than in summer when it's the other way around. So for me it makes more sense to have the vapor barrier on the inside, because that will more often be the warm side. And then with the floor, I think because the actual metal floor of the van itself already is a vapor barrier, so I've decided to put the foam insulation layer in first. So we've gone for 5mm of insulation underfloor foam. And then, to be honest, I'm only putting another vapor barrier on because it came in a roll that was too big for the walls and the ceiling. So we're putting the rest on the floor. So what I'm doing right now is insulating the wheel arches, and I've bought this material here. It's bubble wrap on one side and reflective foil on the other side. You can buy more expensive ones that have reflective foil on both sides. But it doesn't really make sense for what I'm doing, because the reflective layer only adds insulation if there's an air gap on the reflective side, otherwise it doesn't add any value whatsoever. So there's no point in going for the really expensive stuff that's reflecting both sides if you don't stick it onto a surface.